when you actually like are like seriously coming out to somebody, it's best you take it seriously, not just as a phase. Like, I'm not just a tomboy, that's not what I mean, kind of thing.
And know that you're not alone. That's the main thing.
Somebody that is going to take you in. Love yourself.
Being your truest self and going from there.
Once you come out, most of the time, things feel easier.
It was lovely to see you.
You as well.
It's really not good. It was a very big mistake.
Oh no.
Because, rainbows.
Well, there's that.
Rainbows are pretty good.
Hello, Forrest. How are you today?
I'm doing good, I guess.
Great. So, to start off, we can just ask, what do you identify as? Kind of get to know you a little bit better, so you have the floor.
Okay, I identify as transgender, pansexual. I go by the pronouns he, him. I will accept the pronouns they, them, but I prefer he, him.
All right, perfect. And your name is Forrest, which is, I love that name.
Yeah, it was between Silas and Forrest, but Silas means forest in Latin, so that was...
That's cool.
And everybody's just already started calling me Forrest, so then I was like, okay, Forrest is it. It sticks. It works.
Yeah, and you feel comfortable with that?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a really cool name. I love it. Yeah. And what grade are you in, Forrest?
I am in grade 12, and I'm hoping to go to university next year.
Yeah, that's amazing. And so you said you have a job. What is your job?
I consider myself a self-taught artist, although I don't have commissions open right now, and I haven't opened commissions before, but I consider it kind of a job.
Yeah.
And I'm also like a little bit of a part-time YouTuber at the moment. I'd like to make it my full-time job. We'll see how that works out.
Yeah.
And I work as a stable hand at a barn.
Oh, cool.
So I look after horses. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that is amazing. Horses are so great. Yeah, and speaking of the YouTube channel, Forrest has his own YouTube that he's starting. It's very cool. He does his art and everything. So I'll leave your channel in the description. And I'll also put it at the end of this video, so then people can click on it and subscribe and watch your videos and all that good stuff, because we need to support the community people. Also, Forrest is just great, so why not?
Thank you.
So when was kind of like the first time you were discovering, hey, I feel different, like I don't feel like how I'm supposed to feel?
I think I've always felt that way. I mean, when I first came out to my dad, and I know this isn't really related to the question, he made the joke, because when I was younger, I walked into the washroom on him when he was going to the washroom, and I said, one day I'm going to pee just like you, Dad. And he said I should take that as I'm like, okay. It was a really awkward moment, but like ever since I was young, like I always liked dinosaurs. I like the guy type things. I like that kind of stuff. I mean, I still played with Barbies because I love role playing and I love all that kind of stuff. But but like since I was younger, and I didn't know what transgender was. I was never raised in a very LGBT plus kind of community or like place like in the country. I was raised in a, I guess call it a hick country town, or like where you don't get that many people in the community. So throughout public school, I always kind of had those things, and whenever it came to, I always played with Pokemon with the guys, and I always enjoyed being with like my guy friends and all that kind of stuff and everything like that. And then into the higher grades, I ended up having more like friends that were girls. So I kind of, when we played role-playing games, I'd always want to be the guy or the male or the man, or, you know, that kind of thing. And I always had these like fantasies of wanting to be a guy, but I never really understood what it meant, and I never really like looked into it that much because I didn't know the community existed back then.
Well, yeah.
I was invisible to it. But once I got into high school, I was pretty much like tossed straight into it because the GSA, all my friends are gay.
Hey.
It just happened, like, all this kind of stuff, and I was like, holy, there's a lot more to this, because I always felt like as a kid, like, when I was still identifying as a girl, if a girl came up to me and said, hey, do you want to go on a date? I'd really like you. I said, I wouldn't say no. I always told myself that. So I always knew I was gay, and my friends thought I was gay before I was gay, because I apparently talk like that. I don't know.
Well, yeah, it's kind of funny. People, like, generally say that, oh, I knew before you knew. It's like, but how?
But how? And I'm like, okay. And, like, yeah, and then, like, I was in so much denial in, like, the beginning of high school. It's like, okay, I identify as non-binary, but I don't know what name to choose, and I don't want to tell anybody yet because I'm not sure. And then throughout high school, grade 9 passed, grade 10 passed, grade 11 passed, and I was like, screw it. I started watching YouTube videos about transgender, what it means to be transgender, and learning that you don't have to be on testosterone or be on estrogen or be on any of those chemicals to identify as transgender, which really brought me to the community, because I always had these things like, if the technology comes out to transition without a huge taxing amount of effort on my body or, like, hurting myself, I don't think it does hurt you. I did more research, but, like, back then I was still not that educated. I would do it. I would completely transition to the opposite sex. And then I was like, I watched a few videos online. I watched a transgender man. He's an English one. I can't remember his name now. But he was talking about all that kind of stuff. And I was like, hot damn, I'm trans. You know, that meme. I'm like, oh God, I'm trans. That's awkward. I think I am. I know I want to be. And I always got so excited when I heard about, like, transitioning type things, because I was like, oh, that sounds so cool. That sounds awesome. I want to do that. And then I was like, wait a minute, is this normal?
Yeah.
And then, yeah, so that's how it kind of, like, how it began.
Wow.
And that's how I kind of started realizing. And then I came out on my I came out to my friends first, which was great. In fact, I think you were one of the first persons I ever came out to, actually.
Aww.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry, yeah. I just remember in drama class, where all the gays live, we were talking, I don't know, with one of our friends as well, and you were like, hey, I just want to let you know, like, I prefer being called Forrest, and so I was like, oh, really? I just thought it was, like, the coolest thing.
Yeah.
It made me feel
I'm
so
pretty
happy.
I'm pretty sure my memory of that moment is you were asking me if there were any girls I liked in the school or something, and then you were talking about, like, because I haven't dated anybody, right? So,
yeah.
And you're like, and then I'm like, actually, I'm transgender, and I prefer to go by like, that was the first moment, and then I think my drama class was the first class I ever came out as trans to, so, and then I told my friends in chemistry and everything, and I was just so happy, because you guys took it so well. I was just so happy, and I've always been a very open person about my sexuality. If I can tell somebody about my story, and it can help somebody, then why not? Like, I get it, there are some, like, scary people in the world, but there's also a lot of us out there, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, so that's kind of, like, the whole thing that's how it happened.
Yeah, and you're going to be helping so many people just by talking in this video, and I'm, like, so excited to see how people, like, react with you and, like, get to be like, oh, I relate with Forrest and kind of thing. So, I love this. Sorry. Yeah, this is amazing. So, with who you told first, who was, like, the first person you ever told? Do you remember specifically?
I can't remember specifically. However, I know that it was my friends, I think my friends in my chemistry class, that I was telling them about my feelings first.
Mm-hmm.
But I think the first official person that I told that I was transgender was actually you.
Oh, that's so sweet. I was going to say, and how did they react? But obviously I know. But yeah, it was just... It was such, like, it was a nice feeling, because I was like, aw, he trusts me enough to tell me, and so it just really meant a lot to me that you told me, and I was so happy. Yeah, and did you feel like okay telling me? Like, what were your feelings?
I was kind of like, it's a now or never situation, you know. I gotta do it. Like, I need to take that one step off the bridge, and I know this person will accept me, and I know this person will still like me and everything when I tell them. So I was like,
Yeah.
okay, just do it in the conversation, even if it's awkward, even if it's the most awkward thing you've ever said. Just do it.
I'm so
And
glad
that
you
was
did.
my
Aw.
first like.
Sorry. That is so sweet. Oh my gosh. Okay, well this is a great interview, I think. Yeah. And so when you came out to your dad, how did he kind of react?
My parents, I don't know. It was in the car coming back from the dinner on my 17th birthday. It couldn't be a worse moment. Because we got in a heated argument about the LGBTQ community. I hadn't told him that I was officially a part of it yet. My mom knew because she knew I was bi or pan when I was talking about all that kind of stuff. But I am pansexual. I'm not bi.
Mm-hmm.
And then it kind of like it got into a heated argument, and I was like, you know what? Well, I'm trans. How do you feel about that? And he made that joke, and then it's just silent. But the only thing is, I wouldn't call my parents accepting. I'd consider them tolerant at best. They still love me. They still accept me. They want me to be happy and healthy.
Yeah.
But they don't use they know my pronouns. They know my preferred name, but they don't use it. And it's extremely agonizing on a day-to-day basis. And I try to get them to do it. It's just they keep explaining they don't understand. And that's a big part of coming out to your parents is a lot of times they don't understand. They don't understand your feelings, and it's just hard. And like I'm trying to be help them because I want them to understand, but I also want them to put in effort, which they're not really doing. So it's kind of hard. And my sister, just like when she heard in the car, she like downright refused that I was trans. She was like, "You are not trans. I don't agree with that."
Oh,
And yeah, so that was my coming out. It's not as dramatic as some people, but it still hurts when they know that they still love you, but they're not trying, and you want them to just give that effort, like that small effort.
Yeah.
And I understand that I'm from like a farming family, and like if I told like my older relatives, they would completely disown me, but it would mean so much to me if like they just tried around the house, you know.
Yeah.
But they don't. But yeah.
Yeah, I can't even imagine because I identify as a girl, right? If someone said like he or referred to me as he, him, I would be so uncomfortable because like I don't identify as that. And I think that a lot of people don't think about that because they're just so used to people using their preferred pronouns because it's obvious or whatever, because that's just like the norm or what straight people think. So yeah, I wish that people would think about that more. I mean, obviously I'm still learning too. Like I can never fully understand what you're going through, obviously, but like you can try, right?
At least you're making an effort, you know?
Yeah.
It's like that's what counts, the effort. Like asking somebody, when you first meet somebody, ask them their name, and then ask them, like, if you're not sure, ask them about their pronouns. Because most of us, even like I'm pretty sure non-binary people, we prefer if you ask and you get it right the first time than for you to constantly mistake it, because it feels really, really bad when somebody calls you like you're the wrong pronoun, and it's just not nice. It just has a really, really bad feeling. And I have a funny story about somebody mistaking my pronouns. So he didn't mistake them, but I didn't know I didn't come out as trans then. And it was one of my old teachers, Comtech teachers, and he completely disappeared. I don't know where he went in the world. He disappeared after a few months, but because I had short hair, and I always had short hair, and I prefer to have short hair. I guess from the back, I kind of looked like a guy somewhat back then, and he come up to me and he'd use he, and I was like, and I wasn't out at the time, so I was confused. And I'd go and complain to my friends, but secretly in the back of my mind, I like that. I like that a lot.
Yeah.
And that was one of the biggest key moments. I was like, okay. One of those moments, you know?
Aww. Yeah,
so there's moments when people mistaking your pronouns is a good thing, and there's moments when it's not, you know?
Yeah. Wow. That's actually really cool. Did that help, like, a lot to discover yourself?
I feel like it did, because it really got me questioning myself a lot. And, like, it really did. And it was interesting to kind of go through the mindset. I think, if I'm correct, it happened in grade 10, and I came out, like, tail end of grade 11.
Mm-hmm.
So, it was kind of like a very big moment where I was like, okay, thinking about it, okay, look it up, you know, actually start researching more into it and start learning. And the more I learned about, the more exciting I got about being trans and transitioning, because it just makes me feel better, I guess the word. I know I'm not the normal, like, trans, like, you have huge gender dysphoria and, like, you can't stand your body. I have gender dysphoria. I do. But I don't, it's not like I can't stand my own body.
Mm-hmm.
And there are trans people that don't have gender dysphoria, and that's one of the biggest misconceptions, is you don't have to have gender dysphoria, and you don't have to go on testosterone to be trans.
Okay.
So yeah.
And what exactly is gender dysphoria?
Gender dysphoria is the feeling you get when you feel like you're in the wrong body, or you feel uncomfortable in your body. It's different for everybody. For me personally, it's the feeling of, like, I shouldn't be here. This isn't my body. I have small freakouts every once in so often. Like, I remember I was at the cottage one time and I didn't have the bathing suit, like, that I really, really wanted, like, you know, and I had this pink top and shorts, and it was frilly and really girly, and my neighbors were up there, and I just had a really big freak out in my mind because I wasn't dressed right. I wasn't in the right body. I don't look like a guy. I don't feel like a guy right now. This is killing me. And I literally almost broke down crying, but all my uncles and aunts were there, and I wasn't out to them or my parents yet. So I just, like, it was one of those moments, you know.
Yeah.
And gender dysphoria is like it can be hard. There are people who get it a lot worse than me, and there are people that get it really, they don't have it at all, but they just know deep in their soul. They don't care about the body they were born in. They just know they're this gender.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a part of me that wishes I knew I was trans earlier, because I never really liked my, like, top half, if you get what I'm saying, trying to keep it, you know.
Yeah.
But, like, and I always wanted it to be flat. I always did, and I didn't understand that feeling. Like, when they started, you know, developing, I kind of got slightly upset with myself because I didn't like it, and, you know, and so that was kind of that whole feeling of gender dysphoria. And, you know, I didn't realize it at the time, but I definitely did feel gender dysphoria.
Yeah, and I can kind of imagine how, well, female bathing suits, like, you have to have a top and a bottom or whatever, or either, like, a one piece.
Yeah.
And that must feel so uncomfortable for you to have to wear like that, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It wasn't until, like, I think I was out to my friends. Wait, it was something like that. It was like I knew in my mind that I was male, but I don't know how much I told to my friends or my family at that point. And it just felt so uncomfortable. It wasn't like a bikini top and bottom or whatever, but it still felt uncomfortable because I don't like the color pink. And there's moments where my mom will buy me like a frilly pink top or things like that, like, in the past, and I'm like, I absolutely despise this. I'm never gonna wear this. I don't know why you bought this for me. Because it's just, and I don't know if it's just me or if this is all trans men, But the color pink, I have had such the big, like, I just hated it ever since I was a kid. I was like, I recognize it, like, with femininity and things like that and everything like that. Now that I know that I'm trans, I'm a little bit more accepting, but I will never wear it myself, is kind of my whole thing with it. And it's definitely, like, it's been a journey.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, because there's like a stigma or whatever that's like girl, pink means girl. And yeah, thank you for sharing so much already about how this makes you feel. And I didn't really know what gender dysphoria, is it dysphoria?
Gender dysphoria.
Yeah, I didn't even know that was a word, so I'm really glad that I got educated. And that's like a big thing. You just need to be educated and be open to learn instead of be like, no, this is the way it's supposed to be. Why would I open up to anything else? So, yeah. And yeah, you said that high school, like, kind of opened your eyes with your gay friends or whatever. How did them coming out to you, or how did you, like, find them? How did that make you feel?
Honestly, I've always been fine with it. I don't know. I just, I saw my lesbian friend with her girlfriend, and I was like, hey, that's cool. and just like, I don't really care. That's great. I love it. And it just, I don't know. I guess made me happy. I don't know what to talk about, but like, yeah, and just having that community, it's kind of weird because I guess like there's this stigma or this thing that says like gay people just like they just connect, or like they just find each other really, really fast. And it's like, it's so true, because in high school I just immediately stuck to somebody who was lesbian, and then I just kept going.
Yeah, so
it was like
so you just kind of like randomly found them, and then it became like this group?
Yeah, well, I started off with like friends that were like, they were very accepting to the LGBTQ community, and then in drama class I met this other friend which is the lesbian friend now that I'm talking about, who was dating another girl at the time, and I just found them and I started hanging out with them at lunch, and then little did I know that most of them there were gay. and then more came, and then more I'm like, oh my god, way too many people now. This is great, and I love it. Yeah,
and I love it. Sorry?
Yeah, I was just gonna say that's how it happened.
Yeah, it's crazy because we live in a town that's, like you said, let's say farm country.
Yeah.
And so they might not be as accepting, like, stereotypically, which is kind of true. But it's cool that in our high school we had that group. I mean, not that I was specifically part of your specific group, but like even the Gay Straight Alliance thing, like it was really nice to see like that little community even in just the high school. It was so cool. One of these questions is your current job accepting of you? But you said you weren't out there, or you weren't out at your job.
I'd say she could be, but she's older, and we have like a friendship type of relationship, me and my boss, and I know this sounds bad, but I really don't want to ruin that. I don't want to ruin my summer job because I still need the money to stay for university, and I love the horses and I love where I'm working. And she seems like a very accepting, like, older woman. It's just, I don't know, it scares me because she's older, and I did bring up like LGBTQ before, but then she went silent, so I don't know what her opinion is on it, and I just don't want to ruin it for myself.
Yeah,
if she finds out somehow, she finds out. I don't care. You can't blackmail me with it, but like it scares, I don't know, it just scares me, especially when like I've had that, like, she's been so like supportive of like my animal dreams and like my drawing dreams and stuff like that, and I feel scared because she's like, I don't know, she's like I don't know, it's weird, we have a weird relationship. She's like, I don't know, just that, like, she's just an extra adult figure in my life, like that I really like to have. Yeah, and she's always been super kind and super nice to me, and I always love the horses, so.
Yeah, that makes sense though, and it's yeah, it's like one thing to come out as gay, but like trans people seem to understand less than gay or whatever. So that must be really hard too, like, 'cause I don't know.
It's just like, if I came out as gay to my like mom and dad, they'd be totally fine with it, it'd be cool. But since I came out as trans, they just don't understand.
Mhm.
You know, it's that thing, and it's that miscommunication or that little thing that kind of like throws them off or throws them down the road. And then there's so much false information on the internet, and there's also so much truth information on the internet. And it's like, how, like, if they do try to search for things, then how do they do that? And it's like, yeah, so I just would rather not. I only have this summer left, and then I'm off to uni. So hopefully I think I'm going to be done with that job after I head off to university.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and hopefully in university, I've heard that there are a lot more people and like-minded people, so hopefully you can find your community again.
Find the group. I already started looking at clubs at the university I want to go to, and there's like a future like gay veterinarian club, and I'm like, heck yeah.
Oh,
let's
that's
go.
So sweet.
And I was like, yes. So
that is amazing.
Yeah, this is fun.
Yeah, and you kind of already talked about a misconception about transgender, but are there any more that are like big that people just need to learn about?
Honestly, I've only been out for a year, so I don't know a crap ton of different ones, but I know that the two main ones are like, you don't have to be on T to be trans, and you also like, you don't. Oh, I forgot what the other one I said. Also, like, I mean, you can identify as the opposite sex and not be trans as well. So it's really, I think, about clarifying with people about what they kind of go by and everything, and what they actually are. But like misconceptions, I have to think about that for a second. I don't know. Probably, I know this is a big one with parents. Like, it's not a misconception. It's more like your parents like think it's a phase. Like, you just want to be boyish for a long time. That's not true. Like, when somebody says, "Oh, I'm trans," and they're serious about it, take it seriously as one of the big things. Like it is a serious topic. Like when you go into it, like, yeah, you can make all these jokes about being trans and stuff like that, and it's cool like that and everything, but it's also like when you kind of like, when you actually like are like seriously coming out to somebody, it's best you take it seriously, not just as a phase. Like, I'm not just a tomboy, that's not what I mean, kind of thing.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's more so a misconception or just like a thing to like think about, but yeah, that's definitely something.
Yeah, for sure. And it's good that if any straight people or people not part of the community are watching this, just to know, like, when someone's coming out to you, take it seriously. Yeah, even if maybe you don't agree with it or anything, but just try to, be supportive for that person. Yeah, thank you for that advice. And what is the best part that you can think about, like, about being part of the community?
I think just having that support, like, just that I have to say, like, being part of, like, knowing all these people in the LGBTQ community, as I refer to them as gays, as I call them, but having, like, most of them are, like, the kindest, most amazing people I have ever met in my entire life, and I cannot imagine where I would be without them, and it's just so incredible. Like, I mean, there's always that odd one out there that's, like, really mean or like off the beaten path, but for the most part, a lot of them are really, really great. I mean, I've never been able to go to Pride or anything, but like, you know, which sucks because my parents won't let me. But like just having that community, and like I met a friend from the United States online while I was streaming one time, and he talked about like not being accepted and so scared of being out to their parents that I was just like, I mean, mine's not as bad, my story's not as bad as it could be, but I feel like everybody hears all these like crazy, horrible stories about coming out, and you think you have to have one too. It's something that I felt like, does it have to be that bad? But just hearing that, like, to me, hearing that somebody doesn't have to have that bad of an experience to still come out and to be what they are is like a good, like, important thing. Because when I saw that, I was like, oh, okay. So it's okay that it wasn't as dramatic as I thought it would have to be, and everything like that. But yeah. And back to the community, it's just, again, it's amazing, and I love the community. It's so awesome, and gays, you know, they just flock together. They just roll in the halls together. I swear, we all sit in a corner in our school, and people walk by, and they're like, "Oh, it's the gay group," and we're
Literally.
like, "Hell yeah, it is!"
Yeah, that really is what it's like, because, like, even if everyone's, like, so completely different, like, they've gone through different things, it's still, like, we're a minority, and we're just here to support each other and, like, get each other. Even if we can't completely relate, we're still gonna try, and just
we're gonna try, yeah.
Yeah, and, yeah, I agree with you. It's great. Yeah, obviously there are those some people, but we can just...
Yeah. We can just, you know, toss them out. Like, bye-bye.
They can be part of their own group.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know, was there anything else you wanted to say to anyone who's watching?
If I'm gonna give some advice for people who are coming out as trans or, like, everything like that, my biggest goal is just hold on. No matter what situation you are in, it's gonna get better, because sometimes the hardest things in life lead to the easiest paths in the end, and the best paths in life. And like, even if your parents don't support you, just know that there are people out there that are willing to talk, and there's always places to go. Even if you're feeling gender dysphoria, there's tons of, like, trans communities online. I mean, I'm not a part of a ton of them, but, like, my channel is definitely going to be, like, a trans, safe, LGBTQ kind of spot on the internet where people can go and we can chat in the comments about, like, our stories and everything like that. And, like, if you can, find the community at your school or wherever you are in the world. Just find them. Just, like, tell them, find friends that accept you and love you for who you are, that won't out you or blackmail you for being this and not being out to your parents and use you, because that's toxic and that's not good for your mental health at all. Also, another tip, and this one's a bit more of a joke, but if you want a chest finder and your parents, you aren't out as trans to your parents, one good tip that you can do is, if they're okay with you cosplaying, say you're going to cosplay a male character, and ask if you can order a chest finder for that. It's a way to trick them into, I guess, thinking that, oh, you're just going to cosplay as your favorite character for a day. Yeah, it's fine. And, you know, and get it from there. That's one thing. It's a little trick. It doesn't always work. I mean, for me, it didn't work. I had to bug until my mom finally gave in. But yeah, that's what I have to say about that. Because, I mean, we're all here. There's many people with many different stories, and, you know, it's fun to hear different other people's opinions and stories and everything like that. Whether they're enthusiastic about telling you or they're, like, the most, like, closed-in person you've ever met, everybody has a story, and I think everybody's worth listening to.
For sure, I definitely agree with that. Thank you so much. Yeah, and yeah, again, I'm gonna put Force YouTube in the descriptions, like the first line, so, like, click it, and show him some support and love, because he deserves it, and he's an incredible human, as you just learned, so please do that. Yeah, so there we go. Thank you for joining me on this adventure of this interview thingamajigger. Yeah.
I'm happy if this makes one person smile, you know? Just
exactly.
let that one person know out there. that they're not alone. We're here for you, my friends.
Yeah. Leave
We'll make it.
Yeah. Leave like a smiley face in the comments. Let's see how many smiles we can get.
Yeah.
Perfect. Yeah. Thank you so much. Yeah. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
No problem.
Yay!